Okay, so for this week's learning, we're going to begin reading our second core text for this topic, which is The Tunnel by Anthony Browne. What I quite liked on the front cover here is that, let's see if you can see it, there's a story that she's reading. There's another bit of intertextuality. Does that remind you of any of the stories you may have read before? A bit of intertextuality for you. Okay, so we're going to read part of this book, and there's some questions that I would like you to consider and to answer, but you don't really need to write the answers down as long as you're talking about them or thinking about them. There's also a roll on the wall activity I'd like you to do, as well as some other little activities for the first part of the book. It's quite interesting, these end pages. Once upon a time there lived a sister and brother who were not at all alike. In every way they were different. And that's the sister, the brother, which is why the end pages are important, because it's showing the difference between the children. I wonder why this little girl's background is all florally and this little boy's background is all made of bricks. The sister stayed inside on her own, reading and dreaming. The brother played outside with his friends, laughing and shouting, throwing and kicking, roughing and tumbling. I wonder what story she's reading that you may recognise. Another bit of intertextuality. So they're quite different, these characters are. Even though they're brothers and sisters, they were extremely different. That's quite important. At night he slept soundly in his room, but he would lie awake listening to the noises of the night. Sometimes he crept into her room to frighten her, for he knew that she was afraid of the dark. There he is. Again, Anthony Browne has chosen to use these pictures for a reason. As you can see, there's this mask. But I wonder why there's a red cloak on the wall. And also, what do we notice on her bedside table? Or maybe if you can spot any other things in her bedroom that may have a hint of intertextuality. Whenever they were together, they fought and argued noisily all the time. One morning, their mother grew impatient with them. "Out you go together," she said, "and try to be nice to each other just for once, and be back in time for lunch." But the boy didn't want his sister with him. They went to a piece of wasteland. "Why did you have to come?" he moaned. "It's not my fault," she said. "I didn't want to come to this awful place. It scares me." "Oh, you baby," said her brother. "You're frightened of everything." And he went off to explore. See if you notice anything, or you can spot anything in these pictures. "Hey, come here," he yelled a little while later. She walked over to him. "Look," he said, "a tunnel. Come on, let's see what's at the other end." No, you mustn't," she said. "There might be witches or goblins or anything down there." "Don't be so wet," said her brother. "That's kid stuff. We have to be back by lunchtime," she said. His sister was frightened of the tunnel, and so she waited for him to come out again. She waited and waited, but he did not come. She was close to tears. What could she do? And I'm going to leave it there with the picture of Rose. So the questions I want you to think about, and you can talk to an adult about this, or you can just think about them by yourselves, is, what do we know so far about the main characters? Who are the main characters? What do we know about them? And what do you think of them? Is there a character you like more? Is there a character you dislike? And also, what are your reasons behind liking or disliking them? So the roll on the wall exercise, I've uploaded a template that you can use. For the Rose character, you could like draw hair and a dress on her, just so look, you can see that one's a girl and one's a boy. But you're basically writing adjectives to describe their personality on the inside, and then on the outside of their body you're writing words to describe their physical features and things that they're wearing. For example, you can say a bright red coat or something on the outside because she's wearing a bright red coat. There is an optional activity of a game called Snowball. It's a little bit different to the phonics one that we play, but it's a good game, especially to practice your command sentences. And then there's a word cloud activity I'd like you to do. It says here that Rose was frightened of the tunnel. It actually says his sister was frightened. The version I copied my plan from actually said Rose was frightened. But anyway, what I would like you to do is use a thesaurus, which you can use at thesaurus.com, I think it is, if you haven't got one at home. And just look for synonyms, which are other words that mean the same as frightened. And if you could just write them in clouds in your book, or if you go to this website, you can create like a word cloud using all the different synonyms, and then you can save that picture and maybe print it off or just email it to me. It's another little fun way of completing that activity. So they are your activities for this week, and we will carry on reading the story next week. Have fun.